This is what really happens when a narcissist knows they've lost you for good. There's a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when a narcissist realizes they've truly lost you. Not temporarily, not in the way that leads to a dramatic reconciliation or a desperate plea for forgiveness, but for good, forever. You've walked away, you've healed, you've built a life that no longer orbits their chaos, and for the first time they understand you're not coming back. That moment doesn't come with a scream or a confrontation. It comes in silence, in the absence of your reaction, in the stillness of your peace, and when it finally hits them, something shifts. Not because they suddenly feel remorse, not because they suddenly want to change, but because the foundation of their world begins to crack. Today, we're diving deep into what really happens when a narcissist knows they've lost you for good. Not the fantasy they tell themselves, not the version of events they rewrite in their mind, but the psychological reality behind their behavior. Because once you understand what's truly going on in their mind, you'll finally see your freedom is their greatest fear. This isn't about revenge. It's not about wishing them pain. It's about understanding the truth so you can stop questioning yourself, stop wondering if you mattered, stop looking back. Because the moment you walk away and stay away, you become something the narcissist can never truly recover from, living proof that their control is not absolute. If you've ever wondered what happens on the other side of your departure, if you've ever questioned whether they feel anything at all, stay with us until the end. What we're about to uncover might finally give you the peace you've been searching for. Let's begin. When you were involved with a narcissist, you weren't just in a relationship. You were caught in a system designed to keep you off balance. Every compliment was a manipulation. Every moment of affection was conditional. Every conflict was a power play meant to remind you who held the upper hand. But somewhere along the way, things changed. You began to see through the mask. You noticed the inconsistencies. You questioned the narrative. And eventually, you made a choice, not out of anger, not out of weakness, but out of strength. You chose yourself. You walked away. And that act, walking away and staying away, is the one thing they never truly prepare for. Because for all their confidence, for all their charm, for all their ability to twist reality, they believed they were in control, that you would always come back, that you would always react the way they wanted. But you didn't. You left. And in doing so, you disrupted the entire foundation of their world. Now, let's explore what really happens when a narcissist realizes they've lost you for good. Not based on speculation, not on drama, but on the real psychological patterns observed by psychologists who study narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. The first thing to understand is that narcissists don't form emotional attachments the way most people do. Their relationships aren't built on mutual respect, vulnerability, or genuine care. They're built on control, admiration, and influence. That means when you walk away, you don't just leave a relationship, you remove a crucial source of emotional fuel. You were once a part of their world. You gave them attention. You engaged with their drama. You responded to their manipulation. And now, you're gone. Not temporarily. Not with the possibility of return, but completely. And that kind of absence doesn't just affect them in the moment, it lingers. It haunts them. Because for someone who thrives on validation and control, losing someone who truly saw through them is one of the most destabilizing experiences they can face. So what happens when they finally realize you're not coming back? First, they experience a deep sense of loss. Not because they miss you, but because they miss the control they once had over you. Narcissists rely on external validation to feel whole. Without it, they begin to unravel. And you were once a key source of that validation, whether through praise, conflict, or resistance. You played a role in their psychological balance. When you disappear, that balance is disrupted. They try to replace you. They seek out new people, new sources of admiration, new roles for others to play. But none of it feels quite the same. None of it carries the weight of someone who once understood them and still chose to leave. Because you weren't just another person in their life, You were someone who saw too much. You questioned their version of reality, you resisted their control, and now you're gone. And that absence, your silence, your finality, your peace, is something they will never truly recover from. Second, they begin to doubt themselves, even if only slightly. For all their bravado, for all their claims of being superior and untouchable, narcissists live in constant fear of exposure. And you were someone who saw past the mask. You witnessed the lies, you felt the manipulation, and worst of all, you left. That act of leaving confirms their deepest fear, that others might see them the way you did, that their carefully curated image might slip again, that their control might fail once more. And the more people begin to question them, the more they begin to distance themselves, the more that fear grows, because you were the first domino, and now more and more are falling. They may pretend it doesn't matter. They may tell themselves and others that you were weak, that you didn't understand them, that you were the one who failed. But beneath the surface, doubt creeps in. Did I go too far? Could they really see through me? Did they know all along? These thoughts are unbearable to them, because real introspection is something they avoid at all costs. So instead, they either lash out in frustration or retreat into denial, but the damage is done, the illusion is breaking. Third, they obsess over what they can no longer reach. Narcissists thrive on reaction, whether it's praise, anger, sadness, or confusion. They need to know that you still feel something, that you still respond, that you still carry them in your mind. But when you walk away and stay away, when you choose silence over engagement, peace over conflict, freedom over their chaos, you take away their ability to manipulate your emotions. You strip them of the opportunity to rewrite the narrative, and that silence becomes their worst nightmare. Because without your response, without your presence, without your emotional energy, they lose the ability to shape how you remember them, and that lack of control eats at them in ways they can't fully process. They stalk your social media. They ask mutual friends about you. They send cryptic messages, disguised as coincidence. These behaviors aren't random, they're deliberate. Each one is a way of saying, I'm still here, I still matter. But the truth is, they don't. Not to you. Not anymore. Fourth, they lose a key part of their identity. Narcissists build their entire sense of self-worth around how others perceive them. Every compliment, every reaction, every moment of interaction is used to reinforce their image of superiority, and you were once part of that narrative. You believed in them, you gave them attention, you engaged in their world, even if only to resist it, and by vanishing completely, you took with you a piece of the identity they worked so hard to maintain. Without you, their story feels incomplete. Without your presence, even silent, their world feels less stable. And the more they try to replace what you represented, the more they realize it can't be done. Because you weren't just another reflection of their ego. You were proof that their control wasn't absolute. Fifth, they become haunted by the one who got away. To a narcissist, being forgotten is one of the greatest fears of all. And when you disappear, completely, permanently, they are left with something they cannot easily erase. The memory of someone who truly understood them, and then refused to stay. That realization lingers like a shadow. It reminds them that their charm doesn't work on everyone, that their power has limits, that someone once looked past the mask and saw the fragile, manipulative person underneath. And once that happens, once that truth is known and accepted, there's no going back. Because you became living proof that their world is far more fragile than they want anyone to believe. Sixth, they struggle to maintain their usual patterns. Narcissists rely on predictable interactions. They need people to react the way they expect, to seek their approval, to crave their affection, to play along with their version of reality. But you broke that pattern. You stopped giving them the attention they craved. You refused to engage in their drama. And eventually you disappeared altogether. Now they struggle to find replacements who fit the same role. New partners, friends, colleagues, they all start to look different through the narcissist's eyes. They begin to question their own influence, They test boundaries. They search for signs that they are still in control. But the deeper they fall into their own confusion, the more obvious it becomes the game has changed, and they are no longer calling the shots. Seventh, they fear that others will follow your example. Perhaps the most damaging thing for a narcissist is knowing that someone saw through them and walked away, not in anger, not in defeat, but in clarity, in strength, in peace. Because once one person does that, it becomes easier for others to do the same, and that's what truly terrifies them. You were the first domino, and now more are falling. People are beginning to notice the same red flags you once saw. They're questioning the stories, they're recognizing the manipulation, and slowly but surely, the narcissist finds themselves increasingly isolated. Not because the world is against them, but because they made it impossible for others to trust them. Eighth, their world begins to crumble, quietly, irreversibly. None of this happens overnight. Narcissists don't suddenly admit fault or change their ways, but over time, the consequences of their behavior begin to catch up with them. The lies pile up. The manipulation becomes more transparent. The emotional games wear thin. And as more people begin to walk away, just like you did, their carefully curated image starts to break apart. They become paranoid about being exposed. They grow defensive when questioned. They rewrite history in an attempt to preserve their reputation. But the cracks remain. And the more people leave, the harder it becomes to hide them. Ninth, you become the ghost they can't forget. You are not their prisoner. You are not their victim. You are not the person they haunt out of love. You are simply living proof that their world isn't as solid as they pretend it is. And that's precisely why they can't let go. Not because they miss you, but because your absence represents something they can never truly overcome. The undeniable truth that someone saw through them and chose to walk away. And that knowledge, more than anything else, is what continues to haunt them. In conclusion, what really happens when a narcissist knows they've lost you for good is not a moment of transformation. It's not a moment of growth. It's a moment of quiet collapse. The foundation of their world begins to crack. The illusion they worked so hard to maintain starts to break. But you didn't cause this. You didn't make them fail. You simply chose yourself. And in doing so, you became living proof that their control is not absolute, that their charm doesn't work on everyone, that their manipulation has limits. And that, more than anything, is what makes them afraid. So keep going, keep healing, keep reclaiming your life. Because every step you take away from their chaos brings you closer to your truth. And that is something they will never truly overcome. Thank you deeply for tuning in and joining us on this vital journey of understanding. If the insights shared in this video resonated with your experiences, if a light flickered on within you, or if you found a piece of your story reflected in these words, we genuinely hope you'll consider becoming a part of our growing community. Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button to help this message reach even more individuals who may be silently grappling with similar challenges, and extend a hand by sharing it with someone who is embarking on their own path to healing and self-discovery. After navigating the complexities of toxic dynamics, your act of sharing can be a beacon of hope for others who desperately need to hear this message. And as always, we warmly invite you to engage with us further by leaving a comment below. Let us know your profound thoughts, share the nuances of your own experience, and illuminate how you are courageously rebuilding your life piece by precious piece. After encountering the profound impact of toxicity, your voice is not just heard here, it truly matters. Your unique story, with all its struggles and triumphs, matters immensely, and by sharing it you contribute to a collective tapestry of healing and empowerment. Always remember this fundamental truth. The path to healing is rarely, if ever, a perfectly straight line. It is by its very nature a winding journey, full of unexpected ups and downs. Moments where you feel an exhilarating surge of strength, and other moments where uncertainty may cloud your vision or doubt may creep into your heart. There will be days of clarity and days of confusion, but in every single step you take, no matter how small or how faltering, every conscious movement you make away from the pervasive chaos they created, brings you undeniably closer to reclaiming your authentic truth and discovering the profound resilience that lies within you. So keep going, even when the road feels arduous. Keep growing, allowing every challenge to become a lesson and every hurdle a stepping stone. And most importantly, keep reclaiming your inherent power, for it was never truly lost, merely obscure. It resides within you, waiting to be fully embraced. We eagerly anticipate connecting with you again in our very next video, where we will continue to explore pathways to greater understanding and inner peace. Until that time, please make your well-being an absolute priority. Take exceptional care of yourself, nurturing your mind, body, and spirit. Strive to stay grounded amidst any external disturbances, finding your center in the quiet strength you possess. And never, ever allow yourself to stop believing in your own immeasurable worth and the incredible capacity you have for a life filled with genuine joy and profound freedom.